Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a specific story, the Weaver and the Engineer. We want to see how geopolitical friction can, well, quietly break apart a really successful global supply chain connection. It's about this decade-long partnership, North Carolina and Suzhou.
Exactly. And it's key to understand Elena, the weaver, the designer in the U.S., and Lin Wei, the engineer over in China. Their success wasn't just, good fortune. It was really a model of how globalization could work optimally.
Okay, so Elena's designs, her IP, that was the core. These special fabrics, the cooling ones, the shimmering patterns, like beetle wings. What made them so dependent on Wei's specific engineering setup in Suzhou?
Well, the sources suggest this partnership thrived by using that labor and fabrication cost difference, but for really specialized high-skill work. Elena brought the innovation, the ideas. Wei brought the, let's call it, industrial artistry, the ability to actually make these complex things at scale. They were creating textiles that, honestly, neither could have managed alone. It worked because they really leaned into that global ecosystem.
Right. So let's talk about how it started to go wrong. The sources say it wasn't some big dramatic event at first. It was more like background noise. Political noise, they called it. But this wasn't just general talk about tariffs, was it? There were specific rule changes that started hitting their trust.
Precisely. That noise included things like new CFI-US restrictions, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. Suddenly, for Elena, just sending data about her R&D across borders, that raised immediate red flags. The whole political climate just forced them to pause, to rethink sharing technical details.
So the first real damage was hesitation. Elena getting nervous, holding back specifics on a new chemical process maybe, worried about IP theft.
That's exactly it. And then Wei, picking up on that hesitation, he also became more guarded, maybe not sharing ways to make production even more efficient, because he feared that information might be used against him somehow down the line.
So they stopped seeing each other as just partners working together.
That external narrative, the U.S.-China rivalry, it sort of seeped into their business relationship. They started viewing each other, maybe subconsciously at first, as representatives of these rival nations, proxies, essentially.
Wait, though, if they were already seeing each other like that, wasn't the trust basically gone before the final sanction hit? Why point to the sanction as the killer blow? Was it just like a convenient legal way out of a relationship that was already failing?
That's a really sharp point. The data suggests things were definitely strained, very strained. But the sanction itself was the final act, the thing that made continuing physically impossible. Sources say the end was abrupt. A single, sterile email citing a new national security rule. It blacklisted the specific polymer they absolutely needed for those unique cooling fabrics.
And the technical detail here is crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
This polymer, poly-A, it wasn't secret, it was open source. But the sanction targeted its use in their specific setup, the exact industrial application and export path between Wei's factory and Elena.
Correct. That digital bridge, that specific connection, was just cut overnight. Compliance became impossible.
Wow. And the fallout, the actual cost.
It was significant and measurable. Elena tried to replicate the process domestically, but the fabrics ended up, well, clunky, way more expensive. And they just didn't have that same, quality or soul Wei's team brought. Her company, which had been growing, shrank by over 40%, the sources say.
It's quite sobering how abstract political decisions can have such a concrete, damaging effect on small businesses like these. And Wei's factory, what happened there?
Cut off from Elena's designs, they had to pivot. They moved to lower-grade materials, serving a smaller, less profitable regional market. That whole synergistic innovation process, it just stopped.
And there's that final image the sources mention, kind of haunting.
Yeah, Elena, years later, seeing a jacket in a shop somewhere like Kill Devil Hills, made from a cheap imitation of their fabric. Unsustainable, of course. Just a pale shadow of what they'd achieved together.
So the takeaway for you listening. This loss wasn't just Elena's business or Wei's factory. You could argue it was a loss for the world, right? A loss of this really efficient, innovative connection. Sacrificed because the focus shifted to suspicion, to strategy, instead of just creating.
It really highlights the cost of losing global specialization. Their partnership worked because it maximized different strengths, American innovation, Chinese manufacturing skill at the same time. That comparative advantage was powerful.
The real tragedy maybe wasn't just that it fell apart, but that the efficiency was forgotten, replaced. So the thought to leave you with is this. What other innovations, what other efficiencies are we unknowingly giving up when that baseline of global trust gets eroded and replaced by strategic suspicion? What potential is lost?